Good evening. We are here with our next lab, our trash lab, that we take a look at our essentially consumption of different goods for the past 8 or so hours. This is actually my consumption since I woke up at about 5, 6 in the morning. Well, that's not fair. I slept in since we traveled all day yesterday. Um, no, this is just safe to say that I'm not your normal person when it comes to things because a good deal of our usual consumption of materials and goods deals a lot of with how we eat and food and all of that stuff. I have a tendency to only eat maybe once a day, so I don't really have much food consumption. That being said, my food consumption, it is of one plastic chip bag. We hadn't gone shopping yet since we just got back from the beach, so I went by Sonic or Subway for lunch, which has the little wax paper wrap as well as the plastic bag. I have a paper plate that I used for my food. Didn't have to, but my son demanded that, hey, I have a paper plate, here, take it. Wasn't gonna argue. I had some Starburst, which has this wax paper on all the pieces. The, of course, main part is more plastic than paper. Of course, to protect the candy. I had a few other pieces of candy, just some little things to give me some energy. I had some new pants for worship today, so that meant I had to take off the different tags, which has little tiny plastic bits, and the great big, this one in particular is a bunch of paper tags. And then the final piece of consumption that I've had all day is this Coke, which I'm not actually done with. I've been kind of using it off and on all day long. But that has been the totality of everything that I have consumed today. I know if you go and look at it other days, there are different amounts of consumer. There's just different levels. So it's just a really weird day for me to record doing this. That being said, the second step where we are talking about the different weights and stuff, if I can unlock where I did all this. So the collective weight of all of this stuff was less than 0.2 pounds. So there's not a real hefty amount there. The volume is when you leave it uncompressed. I didn't want to waste a garbage bag on it, but with it uncompressed, it is roughly about a gallon. If you were to compact it, all this is going to compact nicely. This, I really don't want to crush right now since I'm still drinking on it. But it would compact to about a fourth of the size, leaving to a difference about 3/4 of a gallon. So collectively here together, we have no pieces of glass, no pieces of metal, no bits of food because everything I got, I ate. I don't even know what other would qualify as. But so of the paper and plastic, we have a bunch of these tiny little wax papers. We have a little bit of wax paper here and the plate, as well as these 3 paper tags. So whenever you go to calculate all of the Starburst wrappers, it's, I think, somewhere in the ballpark of 48 Starburst wrappers there. So 48, 49, 50, 53, about 53 pieces of paper. Plastic, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 pieces of plastic. There should be a couple little loose, tiny little plastic tags. I couldn't find where they went when I pulled them off. So I'll have to find that in my bedroom at some point. But that being said, that is the totality of my garbage for the day. There will likely be just a little bit more as we move into the evening, and I have something light as a snack for a sort of pseudo dinner. Yes, I know, the absolute epitome of health. The irony being both my brothers being very health conscious. So when we look at the questions that you posed, the first one being look into what materials can and cannot be recycled. About the only piece of this that can actually be truly recycled and not just burned for energy or just to start a fire, honestly, would be the plastic Coke bottle, and I'm not even sure if this is a fully recyclable one. Coke is usually pretty good about that, but you never know. I having done recycling with Boy Scouts, I see so much that is, yes, this is recyclable, and then you go and you find out that even though it says it is, it's not really recyclable. So a great deal of that volume of trash is unrecyclable, so it doesn't really change much in terms of any of that. Can you explain why garbage trucks compact the trash? Well, yeah, uncompacted trash just takes up so much space, and they're having to collect from so many houses, so many apartments, so many places. If they didn't compact that trash, then they would have to be going back to the dump constantly, which then uses more fuel, and it's just more cost effective to compact it all and take all of it, all you can, all at once. No, the weight of the trash is not going to change, because even though you crush it, you are eliminating some air, but you are law of conservation of mass or matter, law of conservation of energy. Sorry. At any rate, you're not destroying it. You're not releasing energy in any way. You're not transforming the way that the energy potential is there. If you were to burn it or chemically alter it or some way of releasing that potential energy, then yes, you would alter the weight. But this is just a physical transformation of literally just crushing it down. And so it's not going to change its weight. All right, so the fun part. Assuming that there are about 12,000 students attending ASU that apparently eat like, tiny little nothings like I do, that would give you, based on the 0.2 pounds that all this weighs, including the fact that this is half drank, would give you approximately 24,000 pounds, which that is more than I'd care for, but that's 12,000 people. That comes out a lot nicer than the alternative. The collective volume, when compacted, given the fact that you could compact this down to about the size of a fourth of a gallon if you were to fold everything and really crunch it, it would give you roughly about 3,000 gallons of space. So I feel like that's a nice little bit, but I mean, still not where you really, really want it to be. And as I've said, nothing in this was really and truly recyclable except for maybe the bottle, and that removes very little, so it's just going to alter the numbers very, very slightly. How much food waste was in my garbage? Well, at the moment there is half, or more like a third of a Coke, but like I said, I'm not quite done with it. I'm gonna finish it. But other than that, maybe some crumbs in the chip bag. Regardless whether or not you had any food waste, is there anything that can be done about food waste besides throwing it away? Yeah, I mean, you have composting and you have different means of using it to affect the soil, and just there's any number of things that you can do with food waste to try and prevent it from just sitting and decaying in a spot with no potential. So, part 2. What time did I start keeping? Like I said, this is being kept from when I woke up in the morning. That's everything I've consumed since this morning. How much plastic items did you use for an 8-hour period? Not just the recyclables, but all things that are made up of plastic, such as credit cards, pens, computers. All right, well, if you're starting to talk about the things that I've used, not just the trash, I have used a laptop, a phone, I've used my iPad, I have used special cameras over at the church, I have used keys, I have used, your car has lots of bits of plastic in it. Plastic is everywhere. You almost can't touch anything in your everyday life without in some way touching plastic. They say that within 6 steps you can find a spider. Well, I think within 3 or 2 steps you can find plastic, if you even have to take a step at all. Oh, kitty cat. You have to love on the kitty cat. Isn't she pretty? And mad. She's mad. All right, please include a list. Please include your list you made during the 8 hours, keeping track of your plastic items. Attach another page if necessary. As I've said, the list of plastic items I've touched has been mainly just this trash stuff and the technology pieces that I have needed to do my job. So part 3, what country did I pick? Well, being of Norwegian ancestry, I decided I would take a peek at how Norway handles their trash. And it turns out that Norway is phenomenal about how they handle their trash. They actually take and burn so much of it. They actually, I think it said they import 410 tons, or the tonnes. I forget the difference between tons and tonnes, if there is one. But they import 410,000 of it so that they can then turn it into fuel. The person in charge of it is actually quoted saying, you know, all of this is sitting here for waste. Why not use it for energy? And I think that is a good mindset to have. They have laws and they follow regulations about making sure that they only burn like materials that aren't going to be toxic and things that will be burnable and good for energy production without causing harm to the environment. I wish we did more of that here in the States. I think a bunch of our coal plants could readily be converted to burn up the tons and tons and tons of waste that we have just sitting around. I mean, it's sitting there and it's doing nothing, and it's going to take thousands upon thousands of years for it to photo or biodegrade. So burning it, not necessarily a bad option. All right. Like I said, I think that's the biggest difference between the two is the fact that Norway has the mindset that they want to recycle what they can but burn the rest and then kind of take that small little bit that's too toxic to burn but yet can't be recycled and then store that away in as safe a place as you can. Compare that to America's fascination with we just want to put it in our garbage cans and have it wheel away and it be gone. I feel like we could do so much better in that regard. And it's our duty as people to take care of our things in our country and our places. So we should do better about that. And I know I need to as well. So I will try to set an example for the kids and do just that.